Oh, good, you're here. All right, I just wanted to take some time today to talk about Power BI and how you can use it to import a whole bunch of, less than optimally formatted reports so that you can visualize that data in a dashboard. All right, so let's say you have a system, let's say it's a point of sale system, and you're able to use a feature inside of that system that allows you to email specific reports on a daily basis that shows, the net sales from the previous day by location, that sort of thing. In that case, you'll probably get a whole bunch of reports on a daily basis if it's by location, and you need to find somewhere to put those reports. So with Power BI, you can actually put all those reports into one folder and just import all those reports at one time. Now, the thing is, in many of these systems, the reports that you're going to get on a daily basis, they might not be formatted perfectly. In a perfect world, you would have a report that looks something like this, maybe, where you'd have, a date and a location and the employee and their sales for the particular day at that location. Nice and formatted, makes sense, that sort of thing. However, in reality, what you're probably going to find is your reports are going to look maybe something like this. So with this one here, you can see that the business date is up in the header. And then all your employees are down the side with their location and their net sales and some other information as well. But essentially what we need to do is we need to make sure that this business date gets applied to each one of these rows when we're importing into Power BI. That way, we can actually report on all these different reports that are going to go into that folder and make sure that they're formatted properly. We can make sure that the dates associated with the data that you're importing are in the right spots. And then we can actually do nice visuals to represent that data for us. So let's kind of get started on that. So I created a folder here that has 8 different reports inside of there. They're all the same type of report. The only thing that differs between them is the location that they're associated with and the date associated with the report. So I want to make sure that I can bring in all these reports into one big data set inside of Power BI. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is go to Get Data and go to Folder. So I want to import a folder. Now I'm just going to search for that folder. I put it on my desktop under Sample. Say OK. So there's all the different reports that were in there. I'm going to combine and load those and select the sheet that they all show up on, which is all report, and then say OK. Now it's going to load in all those reports into one. So here we have our data set sample. So that's great. Let's go see what that looks like. I'm just going to edit the query now. So now you can see this is basically the report, all the reports that were loaded in. It shows you the source name from what Excel sheet or CSV file, whatever it was, that was imported. I'm just going to get rid of that because I don't need it. Now, what we need to do, like we said before, is make sure that this business date on each report gets associated with each row on that report so we can do some nice reporting on it. So in order to do that, the first step is to create a new column. I'm just going to create a custom column here. I'm going to call it business dates. There we go. So you notice from the structure of this report here that anytime there's an actual business date on the report that shows, column 1 should say business dates. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a little if statement. I'm going to say if column 1 equals business dates, it's plural, then I want to put the date in there. So that's from column 2. So if column 1 says business dates, then I want that date. And else, I'm going to say null. So I don't want anything appearing there other than the word null, which is basically nothing. So I'm just going to say OK. And there we go. So here's our new business date column. You see that anytime there is a business date, a new business date that shows up, it'll show it here. Else, it'll just show null. So I'm just going to move this business date over to the beginning, so it's nice and easy to see. So there we go. So now we want to make sure that each one of these rows in each one of these reports reflects the right business date. So in order to do that, I'm just going to highlight business date and go to, I think it's in transform. Yep. So transform, and then you want to fill down. So there we go. I filled it down, and now we have each row of every report showing the correct business date. So that's perfect. Now there's a little bit more formatting that we have to do before we can actually use this for any reports. And let's just kind of get started on that now. So normally when you import a report into Power BI, if it's just one report, this would be nice and easy to format. So all you would have to do really is just get rid of the first 4 rows, because that's all just the header information. And then you could just pretty much just promote this 5th row as the header, and then you would be basically done. The problem is we have a whole folder of reports. So in this case, you know, we can't really go about it that way. So what I'm going to do in order to format this report is, first of all, I'm going to change the names of these columns, the column headings manually. And in order to do that, I'm just going to click on the top, and I'm going to change this column to say employee. And this one is the location. This one's net sales. And this one's checks. And then all the other ones, just for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to care about them, so I'm just going to delete them. There we go. So now what I want to do is I want to go through everything that's in this report and just remove the rows that I don't want. So I don't want any row that says employee sales performance, because I know that's on the header of each report. So as long as there's not an employee called employee sales performance, then you should be okay. Or business dates, or locations, or revenue centers, or the employees called employee. So I mean, maybe double check that, I guess, but you're probably going to be okay. So in order to do that, I'm just going to say employee. I want to get rid of, what was the first one? Employee sales performance. So let's just go there, find employee sales performance, and get rid of that. There we go. And I also want to get rid of business dates, anywhere where it says business, any row that says business dates. There it is, get rid of that. I also want to get rid of any row that says locations, because remember, this is all happening in the header of each report. So let's get rid of locations, which is right about here. Get rid of that. And, oh, what was the last one? We want revenue centers and employees. So let's get rid of revenue centers. And the one that says employees. Or employee, I think it was. Yeah, that's right. So we'll do that. So now what we have is we just have a report that has the business date, the employee, the location, their net sales, and the number of checks that they did. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my business dates are actually in date format. So I'll change that. And we also want to make sure net sales, I'm just going to change this to a decimal number. And the number of checks should always be a whole number. So I'll just change that data type. There we go. So now I'm just going to close and apply and see what I screwed up. There, that looked like it worked. Okay, so now if you want to do a report, let's just do something simple here. So now I can do, say, a bar chart. Let's do the value. I'm worrying about the net sales. And we also want the business date, 2018. Now we want the actual day. So we'll just get rid of that and do the day. There you go. This is April 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd. Actually, do you know what? I'll make this a little better by changing this to the actual business date. There we go. So now we actually have the actual business date there for each day. But if you remember, each report had a different location. So what we could also do is just do a filter here, or a slicer, I should say, and then put in the location into the slicer. So here's our little slicer here. And now if we select Okotoks, it'll actually update the sales amount. Or if we just select mahogany, it'll update it there as well. So there we go. Nice and easy. So you can imagine, having a bunch of these reports, however many locations you have, maybe you have like 30 locations. Each one of these reports is being emailed to you on a daily basis. You can actually automate the process of taking those emails and putting into, some network drive, or, OneDrive for Business, or whatever you want to do. And then having Power BI report on that data directly from those folders. And what it'll be able to do is just take all the reports that are in that folder, do the same modifications that we just taught it how to do here, and it'll do it automatically every time. And it just makes life a lot easier. It doesn't matter what kind of report you're doing, what kind of dashboard you have. It just makes things so much easier. So anyways, I hope this helped you out. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, I'm sorry I wasted your time. And I'll see you in the next one.